Did you know Joe Rogan went from a struggling stand-up comedian to building a $250 million podcast empire? But the real secret to his success was not just about making money. It was about one decision that completely transformed his life. How did Rogan break the mold of traditional media to become the most powerful podcaster on earth? Stick with me, and you will discover the game-changing mindset and moves that propelled Joe Rogan to the top. Joe Rogan's journey to success did not start in a luxury mansion or with millions of followers. In fact, his story begins in a small town in New Jersey, where he faced many struggles growing up. Joe was not always the polished, confident figure we see today. Early on, he was a young man full of uncertainty, trying to make it in the world of stand-up comedy. His first big break came when he appeared on the TV show News Radio. But even then, Rogan was not where he wanted to be. Despite landing a steady gig, he still felt unsatisfied. He knew he was not living up to his full potential, and like many, he questioned his path. But Joe had one thing that kept him going, an unshakable desire to carve his own path and challenge the norms of the industry. But how could a man, who was known for cracking jokes on stage, become one of the most influential voices in the world? The answer lies in a single, defining moment that would change the course of his career forever. Joe Rogan's turning point came when he decided to take a risk that would completely reshape his future. He walked away from television. Despite the fame and security he had built, he was not fulfilled. In the early 2000s, Joe had been working as a host for Fear Factor, a popular reality show. But it wasn't enough for him. He wanted more. It was not until he began his podcast in 2009 that everything started to change. At first, the Joe Rogan Experience was just a hobby, a way for him to speak his mind, have raw conversations with friends, and explore ideas that went beyond the traditional media space. But here's the twist. While everyone was focused on the glitz and glam of Hollywood, Joe was building an empire that no one saw coming. What made this podcast so different? Unlike other mainstream shows, Rogan was not afraid to speak his mind. He talked about controversial topics, debated with experts, and even gave a platform to those with unconventional views. His authenticity was magnetic. People were drawn to his willingness to have honest, unfiltered conversations. And that's when the magic happened. He began to attract an audience that craved something more than what traditional media was offering. And that audience was not just any audience. It was loyal, engaged, and growing rapidly. Joe's podcast did not just build a following, it built a community. But here's the big decision that changed everything. Joe signed a $100 million deal with Spotify in 2020. A deal that would not only guarantee his financial future, but also give him the freedom to continue growing his brand without interference from corporate media. This was the moment when Joe Rogan went from a podcaster to a global powerhouse. His gamble on podcasting had paid off. And little did he know, this was only the beginning. Joe Rogan's decision to fully commit to podcasting turned into a gold mine. In 2020, he signed one of the most lucrative deals in podcasting history, a $100 million exclusive deal with Spotify. But it was not just about the money, it was about the freedom it brought. Joe had now built something that transcended the podcast world, creating an empire that spanned media, culture, and influence. By 2024, Joe's podcast was bringing in massive numbers. In fact, it's reported that he was able to expand his deal to $250 million, a true testament to how powerful his voice had become. His podcast was now more than just a show, it was a cultural movement. With millions of listeners across the globe, Joe's influence was unparalleled. But Joe did not stop at just podcasting. He ventured into comedy specials, UFC commentary, and other business opportunities. His net worth is said to be around $200 million, and it's no surprise. The Joe Rogan Experience became a platform that allowed him to be part of every major conversation, from politics to science, entertainment to health. And what's even more impressive is that Joe did not rely on one income stream. He diversified his investments, created multiple revenue streams, and continued to take bold risks that paid off. For Joe, it was never just about the paycheck. It was about creating something that would stand the test of time. With his massive success, Joe Rogan's lifestyle has certainly matched the wealth he's accumulated. In 2020, he made headlines when he bought a $14.4 million mansion in Austin, Texas. But this wasn't just any house. It was a sanctuary. Nestled on the shores of Lake Austin, this mansion spans 11,000 square feet with 8 bedrooms, 10 bathrooms, and 300 feet of lakefront property. The house is truly a masterpiece, featuring panoramic views of the lake, floor-to-ceiling windows, and a state-of-the-art kitchen with dual islands. But the heart of the house? The podcast studio. It's where the magic happens, where Joe invites guests from every corner of the world, creating the conversation that millions tune in to hear. Joe's mansion is more than just a beautiful property. It reflects his success and his ability to create balance in his life. The sprawling grounds feature lush parks, a resort-style pool, and 3 docks, perfect for hosting family and friends. And let's not forget his fitness obsession, which is reflected in his private gym, sauna, and cold plunge tub. When it comes to cars, Joe doesn't just drive for practicality, he drives for luxury. His car collection includes high-end models like a Porsche 911 and a vintage Ford Bronco, proof that he has earned the right to enjoy the fruits of his labor. Joe Rogan's success did not just come from being in the right place at the right time. It came from a mindset shift that most people overlook. If you want to emulate Rogan's success, here are the key lessons that helped him build his empire. Embrace authenticity. Joe's authenticity is one of the core reasons behind his success. He did not try to fit into a mold or please everyone. He built his brand on being unapologetically himself, and that attracted millions. Whether it's his opinions on controversial topics or his genuine conversations with guests, authenticity resonates with people. Be relentless in pursuit of your passion. Rogan did not jump into podcasting because it was trendy. He did it because he was passionate about it. For years, he was grinding away with no immediate payoff. But his commitment to doing what he loved paid off in a huge way. If you want to build something meaningful, focus on the process and stay passionate, even when the rewards are not immediate. Leverage your network. Another key factor in Joe's success was his ability to build connections with influential people across various industries. Whether it's his longtime relationship with UFC or his celebrity guests on his podcast, Rogan used his platform to create opportunities that led to even greater success. Networking is not just about making contacts, it's about forging genuine, meaningful relationships that support your goals. Now that we've explored Joe Rogan's journey, success, and mindset, it's time to hear your thoughts. Is Joe Rogan a business genius who leveraged the podcasting revolution to his advantage, or was he simply in the right place at the right time with the perfect platform? What do you think made him the most powerful podcaster on earth? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. I do love to hear your perspective on how Joe turned his passion into a $250 million empire.